Hello, welcome to Starlight Talks. I'm here with Danny Raede from Asperger Experts, and
Hello.
we're going to talk about adulting.
Indeed, we are. Such a fun word, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like a while ago, people just started to verb words, and now we verbed adult, and now it is adulting. And so, sometimes I adult well, and sometimes I'm not good at adulting. Let's be
yeah.
honest. We have all had nights where we have had cereal for dinner. It's just a thing.
Um, yeah, I remember in college I would have dinner for breakfast or like
Oh,
breakfast
I
for
totally do
dinner,
that.
and like my mom had always been like, you have like had a thing about eating breakfast for breakfast. And so I like felt like such a rebel doing like these small things. Like I can eat pancakes at night if I want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna have bacon and pancakes at night, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Um, I've also gotten into a thing slightly off topic of making actual healthy dessert for breakfast. Like, basically, there are ways that you can make something that resembles ice cream, but is, like whey protein and milk and like better for you than cereal would be, but it tastes like ice cream. So me and my friends are like, let's make breakfast ice cream. Then it will be good and delicious. Um, but I think what I wanted to discuss is I've had a lot of thoughts and recent ideas about adulting in my life and the things that I'm doing. I literally just 15 minutes ago came back from driving my friend's Tesla for the first time after literally driving a car for the first time on Saturday. Like my first driving lesson was on Saturday. And having driven a Tesla, my mom's car, which lasted all of 10 minutes, mainly because, my mom and I don't get along when it comes to driving. I expected that. Like, she was anxious, like, oh my God, back up. I'm like, we're in a dead parking lot and there isn't anybody. And I checked back there 5 seconds ago. I think I'm good. I understand where you're coming from. And yes, I should. I agree with you. But at the same time, like, we don't need to be all freaking out about it, but it's good. But that was mainly me more than anything else. That was just like I expected that. That was what was going to happen. But the main thing was that like it's been really weird learning to drive because some of it has been like, oh, okay, this feels like exactly like a driving game, like driving a car, except I don't crash every 5 seconds. That would be bad. And part of it is slightly still overwhelming. Like I'm kind of coming to the realization that it really depends who I'm driving with and what kind of car I'm driving if I get overwhelmed. Driving a Tesla felt like driving a really powerful computer. And it was like kind of intimidating. Driving the instructor's Toyota Corolla did not feel like driving a powerful computer and therefore was not as intimidating. Chloe, do you have your license? I don't even know. Have you?
No, I took one lesson, and like going into it, I knew my spatial awareness was like I don't have that, and my sense of direction is terrible. So like when I would like get to uh, like I was on pretty empty roads, but when I'd get to like a stop sign and there was like someone on the other side of the road, I had to wave them through because I was afraid I would hit them if I kept driving because I had no spatial awareness. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. I like feel like I'm gonna hit these cars. And my teacher was like, "You're nowhere close to these cars." I'm like, "Really?"
I got to say, having done 90% of my driving so far alone in empty industrial parking lots with nobody there on a weekend, it does seem to me that the act of doing it with other people would complicate things.
Yeah.
That like the reason why I like driving a boat is because you're on a gigantic lake
Yeah.
and you can see somebody like half a mile over there. That's a small dot, and you're like, I'm not going to hit them.
Yeah, and like with the boat, a lot of times you're above, and so you could see the edges of your boat.
Yes.
Seated where you're in the car, you're on like the corner of the car below, and so I have no spatial awareness of.
You're like, I can't put me like way up there. Maybe you'd like be good at like driving like a pickup truck or something, or you could like see all around you.
Right.
And it's just, I need to drive a truck because if it's not a truck, then I can't do it.
Right. That confuses me, like that spatial awareness of the car. I don't know how people do that. That just.
I think it's just like practice, but also the spatial stuff is weird for me, and it's like then you get overwhelmed, and then it's like, oh my god, it's moving when I don't want it to move, and how do I make it not? And no, stay. So.
And like, there's so many things to focus on at once that I just like sitting there like this. Like.
I have heard that and minorly experienced the fact that piece does get easier, right? Yeah. Once you start going, okay, to me, the overwhelming piece so far was like I got used to one type of car from literally doing circles in a parking lot for 2 hours, right? You're like, okay, on the 50th turn, I get the idea now, and I don't need to pay as much attention to how I'm steering the steering wheel, right? But then you put me in a different car, and I'm like, help, it's all different. Everything has changed. Where's the button? This is up here, and this. So.
And like, I watch my family when they drive, and my whole family has pretty quick reactions to everything. And like my little sister has insane reaction. Like, she plays softball, and she once made me sit behind her and film her to like send to college coaches. Yeah. And I blinked, and the ball's already in her glove. And I was like, where did you threw the ball? And so when she's driving, she has these quick reactions to things and like moves out of the way and like does. And I'm like, I didn't even see that there was anything coming. And like, that stuff terrifies me. I'm like, my like slow processing, like that would have hit me.
But there is something to be said for also not driving, because not currently possessing a car and like going down to LA next weekend and last time I was in LA we had lunch. People are like amazed that I get around the greater LA area without a car. It's like this magical skill of like, what? You do what now? You manage to like, what do you do? Take the bus? I'm like, no, there's like a whole like light rail system that gets you everywhere you need to go, and like Uber there, or I walk. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, weird. Like, people that drive aren't used to walking. Like, for me, it's like, oh, it's right over there. It might mean 2 miles. But I don't know. It's a nice day. I don't got anything to do. I can walk 40 minutes to somewhere. That's fine with me. Mm-hmm. But other people are like, when are we going to be there? It's like, I don't know, when we're there.
Yeah, I've been living with a roommate for about a month who also doesn't drive. So we've walked everywhere. And, like, it's so nice. We found like this perfect house that has a grocery store we could walk to, a movie theater we could walk to, and like, a bank we can walk to. Like,
me too. Like, I even have nature that I can walk to. It's like, I can walk to the beach if I want to. It takes about an hour, but I can walk to the beach, which is amazing. But the one problem I would say that I find, like, if I used to live in downtown areas and there was infinite variety of things to do that you could walk to, right? Because it's basically, how far do you want to walk? It's all right there. I lived like a mile from downtown Seattle for 6 years. So you can just go walk, and there are just every type of restaurant you can ever imagine, 5 movie theaters, a million things to do, and on the giant light rail system, they'll take you wherever. But like here, there's like, let's see, there's a burger place, an ice cream place, a pizza place, a Mexican restaurant, a sandwich place, a sort of like cafe breakfasty spot, and then across the street there is a burger place, a smoothie place, a bakery, a Mexican restaurant, a sandwich place, and then a Target. and other stuff, but like that's it. There's beyond the bank, the movie theater, there's a Target, a Home Depot, and a Costco. And so it's like, okay, that's great, but I get kind of tired of the same thing over and over again. There's only so many times you can go to that cheap Mexican restaurant right near you before you get like I want. So we'll see how it goes. It's weird, like not totally needing a car, but like it could be a good thing. And so, but yes, I agree with you that it's very odd sometimes to be like, all the spatial, I can't, and coming from the world of driving a boat where like everything is a million miles away and it's really hard to crash into somebody because you see them coming at you with this like giant speck and you could literally sit there for 5 minutes and then turn and then you would be fine. So that's easy.
Yeah, my grandpa lives in Santa Monica, and there was something I wanted to do up there. And so I was like, how am I going to get there? So I called him and was like, hey, I want to come up to Santa Monica. There's something like in your area that I want to do. Do you want to do it too? And he was like, yeah, I'm going to send a car to come pick you up. And I was like, cool.
That's the secret. Have friends that drive.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't drive either, so anymore. So he has a driver. So he sent his driver to get me, and then he picked him up. And then,
in like years, we're all going to be like, remember when humans drove? Because there will all be self-driving cars that'll get you everywhere. You just click a button and just like RoboCar pulls up, and you're like, all right, cool.
So yeah, when I get stuck, I call someone who has a car and go, do you want to do this with me? And luckily I have a bunch of friends right now who love to do that kind of stuff with me.
It's weird because I can get around the country easier than I can usually get around my city.
Right.
Right? Like, I can easily take an Uber, or if there is a bus or light rail, to the airport and then go to like, but this is the same way for you. Like anytime you go to New York, it's like, oh, I can get around fine here because it's just like, and we can just subway from the airport to wherever we need to go, and there we are, and boom, it's simple and it's easy, and you get back home, you're like, all right. Or like whenever I go to Europe is absurdly easy to get around with. Last week, I was going from Italy to Switzerland to Germany. Just on trains and public transit. It was effortless. Yes, it is possible to get through life without a car, even in places like LA.
Yeah.
Like, so I live in Santa Barbara. I live like an hour or two north of LA, right? And we are like a very long and thin rectangle. And you have the mountains on one side and the ocean on the other, which makes it kind of easy to get around, because if you want to go long ways, there's a bus that goes long ways, and if you want to go short ways, you just walk, because it's like 2 miles from one end to the other. So, it makes it fairly easy to get around, but it's still one of those, like, it is possible. I live in a fairly urban-y area, but you go like 3 blocks in any direction, and it's not urban anymore. It's like this little weird cluster in amongst semi-rural and then goes back into being urban. So it is just kind of about finding the right place. Florida, on the other hand, dear God.
I made another realization about being an adult, because I went to visit my cousin, who's a teenager, and it was like 12, and he was still asleep. And I was like, oh my God, I remember doing that. And like now I'm an adult and I wake up at a normal time and I go to bed early. And then I had friends over in the evening, and they all left around like 9 o'clock to head home to go to bed so they could go to work in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, if we were teenagers, we would have been staying up till like 2 in the morning, like not caring about getting up early for school. Like, we're adults now. We're going to bed at a reasonable time. This is not cool.
I am totally a morning person. It's like, 9:30, okay, time to go to bed. And then I'll gladly like wake up at like 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever you need me to wake up at to do stuff. And it's magical because like I wake up at 5, I get so much done. And then it's like 9 a.m. and I'm like, wow, I've gotten so much work done. And then I just like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to watch a movie right now because I work from home and I'm an adult. So I do. Like, yeah, what is it? It's 2 p.m. All right, I'm going to take a break for an hour and a half and just watch a movie. And then go back to working because I can do that. It frustrates me, though, when places try and kind of force you into one way of doing things. Like if all your neighbors are staying up late and you're like, I want to go to bed, but all you people, like, shut up.
Yeah.
You don't have to deal with that because you're in a house. I do because I'm in an apartment.
I do remember in college, especially if I had an 8 a.m., I would go to bed early, and then I would go to class in the morning, and I'd be well rested, and everyone else is showing up late. And the teacher would like wait to start class. And I'm like, but I'm here on time. And, like I made sure to be. It was so weird. Like that, and like so that kind of stuff irked me.
Yeah, that doesn't seem. I haven't had that experience. But it's like, then why don't we just start later? I don't get it. So
exactly.
If you aren't here on time, like. But then what's the purpose of saying there's a start time if it isn't the start time?
Right.
I don't like it when people like assume shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, things like try and box you into, well, everyone does it this way. It's like, but I'm just trying to follow the rules here. Meredith, yay for sleep. Exactly.
So John asked, what about riding a bike?
Oh, okay. So I learned when I was 7, I can do it. I've been able to do it. It's very easy to see where you are in space on the bike, at least for me, because, there's nothing obstructing your view. But it's still like the mechanical action of it is still kind of a little wibbly wobbly for me, not like with the bike, but just like it's a little bit stressful, and it's not something I like to do for long periods. I would never use it as a commuting mechanism. I would do it mainly like.
I never learned how to ride a bike actually, but I had a tricycle and I would ride that to school. And it was like everyone put their backpacks in my basket because it's this huge basket, and like with the bikes it was hard to like balance with the backpack, so everyone wanted to ride with me because I would just carry all their baskets, their backpacks in my basket. But just like with the hills here, like it was tough to get around with that, and and then if you don't have like somewhere to lock up the bike, like it just like that seemed to be really tough for me to use a bike.
If they don't have the infrastructure to support alternative modes of transit, it gets really annoying.
So walking was better for me.
Yeah. Around here, sometimes the sidewalk will just disappear, and you'll be like, okay. What do I do now? I guess I'm just going to walk along this patch of grass and hope the sidewalk returns soon. It obviously is meant for cars, but I don't want to drive a car right now. So it can be done. It's just annoying at times.
Mm-hmm.
What else we have comments-wise? I can only see the last 4 comments. It's annoying. On my end, anyway. The other thing for me is like cooking and, feeding thyself as an adult. Okay, so being right next to a ton of restaurants, I am spoiled. I spend way more money than I should going to restaurants. And they're all like the expensive Southern California restaurants. So it's like $10 for a sandwich. Which is like, it's a good sandwich. It's worth $10, but at the same time, I don't want to spend $10 for a sandwich every day. So I've started to get into like meal prep and stuff. But the problem I have with that is then I have a whole bunch of stuff in my fridge that needs to be eaten. So then I don't ever go outside because I stay home because my main reason for going outside is to get food. And since I work from home, then I find myself going, oops, I haven't left the house in 3 days. This would also be bad. I should, like open the door at some point and go out. So I have to like balance between like just deciding to batch cook all my favorite meals and like have a freezer full of food, and going out and then figuring out other reasons to go outside versus like going outside to get food. And then, oh my God, everybody that drives, like the greatest luxury in the world is to carry more than 2 bags of groceries home.
Yeah.
Your whole life revolves around what can I carry home when I go to the grocery store? Because if you have more than 2 bags, it's really, really hard to carry it home, which means that's just like your whole life is just, okay. Like I don't buy large jugs of like juice or drinks just because that takes up like half of my carrying space to carry home with me. And it's really heavy. And then I have to like walk 4 blocks carrying this giant thing. And then it's like, then, you use it up and then you have to go back soon.
Lillian found a solution to that. They have like actual like shopping carts that you can buy.
Oh yeah, I have one.
Yeah, that she had one of those when she first moved out. It was in this assisted living place, and like everyone there wanted to borrow her little shopping cart.
I have a little wagon thing that like folds up into this thing, but then you like fold out, and then it's like a full on like almost kid-sized wagon.
Yeah.
She
had one of those.
I go to Costco across the street with that thing and be like, okay, let's go, because there's no way in hell I'm going to carry any of this back. So I'm going to wagon it. That
was one of the few things I used my my tricycle for when I was little. We would go to, there was a Vons that was like a couple blocks down the road, and I would take my tricycle and we put all the bags in my tricycle. And sometimes I didn't ride it, I just pushed the tricycle with my hands. And it seemed to work really well.
We got our fellow wagon people are now in the comments going, I too had a wagon. Gail's going, 1 day a week you must go out for tacos. Gail, we both know it's more than 1 day a week. Come on now. There is a Mexican restaurant that is even across the street. You think I only go once a week? Meredith, so what about meal prepping and feeding individual servings? Exactly what you said. Meredith, that works great. But then, as I said, me and my autistic mind go, oh, okay, now there's nothing interrupting me from just like staying and just demolishing work for an entire day. And then suddenly I look up and it's like 3 days later and I haven't gone outside. So I kind of half use food as an excuse to get me outside every day, because otherwise it doesn't really happen. I'll just spend 3 days inside and be like, I should probably like go on a walk or something. I haven't left in way too long. Like I'm reading a new book, and the last thing that I want to do right now is be interrupted. When I read a book, I just want to finish the book immediately. Mm-hmm. But that requires like 20 hours uninterrupted. So basically, like it requires an international plane flight. So good. Oh my God. 12 uninterrupted hours where all you can do is sit there is like perfect to just read a book. The last time I was on a very, very long flight, 14 hours to Hong Kong. This was a few years ago. I read the entirety of Ready Player One from start to finish on the plane ride over there. So I love times like that, but you know, I have to like work within my limits and my personality. So I have to balance the whole, like, if I just batch cook all the food, then I need another reason to go outside because otherwise I'm not going to. I need to like, And it's like one of those things of like, I brush my teeth in the morning right after I take a shower because otherwise I'm not going to, because it's a habit thing. So I kind of just need to like work with me. Don't fight it. Work with it. Know that sometimes there are certain things I just don't want to eat. Is that something you feel?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have like my habits that I like need to do. Like I schedule like my chore day on Tuesday, and like if someone like offers me anything to do instead of chores, I'll be like, okay, I want to do that instead. And then like the rest of the week, I'm like, but Tuesday's chore day, so I don't have to do anything today. But like I didn't do it on Tuesday, so now I'm like, no, I can't go anywhere. It's Tuesday, it's chore day. I have to do as many chores as I can, or I'm not going to do them.
I know me. I know what I'm going to do. It needs to be done. And it's weird because sometimes I find that like I get into this weird like rabbit hole where there will be like, oh, there's a crumb right over here, and I put the crumb in the trash, and I realize the trash is I should probably take out the trash. So then I go take out the trash, and then I realize I should probably take out the recycling, and then I put new bags and things. I go, while I'm here, I better sweep the floor because there are more crumbs, and then it just like cascades into like 3 hours later. It's like I probably should have not done that right now. I mean, yay! On one hand, I ended up cleaning my entire bathroom, but on the other hand, like I had more important things to do right now, and I got distracted and picked up a crumb, and then it cascaded into me cleaning my whole entire apartment. So, learning your limits and figuring out what works for you, and sometimes like weird stuff works for me. Like my day is very ADD and sporadic of like work, and then the YouTube video catches my eye, and then I'll YouTube, and then like 30 minutes, okay, back to work, and then work for a few hours, and it works for me. But there was a long time of learning how to do all of that. Or the schedule must be followed, never be broken, or it's hell for your brain. Indeed. Yeah. These are very wise words. For me, let's see. We talked about eating. We talked about driving. Relationships are a fun thing. My mom goes, "Don't you want to be in a relationship?" when we were having dinner on like a few days ago. And I'm like, honestly, kind of not really. Like I'm open to it if it just kind of spontaneously occurs. But I'm kind of good because then, like, I don't know. It's just then I needed to. I don't know what I'd want out of a relationship right now.
Right.
Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
I did actually a whole episode on that. With someone who is also asexual and autistic. We both talked about like how relationships, romantic relationships are overrated and like friendships are great.
I love like deep friendships where people, get you. Caitlin says, I'm afraid to try meal prepping type stuff because I'm never sure what I'll be okay with eating each day. Okay, Caitlin, I have figured this out because I am the same way. And there are some days where it's just like, I don't want to eat that. And I'm sorry, I made it yesterday, but I'm not eating it. So what you do is you do it Chipotle style. You don't make full, complete meals in meal prepping. You make ingredients. So you grill a ton of chicken, and then you stick that away. You make a ton of rice. You stick that away. I'm going to use Chipotle as an example here. You make some beans. You make some, corn salsa. And then, like, one day you might say, you know what? I don't really want chicken today. I want, like, beef and brown rice. So you do that because you have the brown rice and the beef, and so basically you have your own like mini little Chipotle that you have in your fridge that you meal prep. Instead of like meals, you make ingredients or combinations thereof, so you can combine them in whatever way you want. Like 3 different proteins, 4 different grains, 2 different sauces, and 2 kinds of vegetables, and then you're off to the races and can make whatever you feel like making each day while still having stuff so you can kind of combine it and do it as you please. So that is what works for me. And
I'm just lazy when it comes to cooking, so if there's something already made, I'll just eat it because I just don't want to cook. So that seems to work for me. Just be like, I could eat this or I could make something. I'd rather have something else, but I don't want to cook. So,
if I am lazy at cooking, it's all about the Instant Pot.
yeah.
The Instant Pot is a magical device. I make salsa chicken from the Instant Pot. You can get a big bag of like frozen chicken breasts at the grocery store for like $10 for like 15 frozen chicken breasts, which is amazing. Then all you do is you take a frozen chicken breast, still frozen, chuck it directly in the Instant Pot, and pour on a can of salsa, and just make sure the chicken is in the salsa. I usually do salsa then chicken so it doesn't like burn on the edge. And then you just hit manual, put the lid on, and walk away. And like 30 minutes later, you have cooked salsa chicken that then you make some rice and you make the salsa chicken, and then the salsa chicken just shreds really easily. And then boom, you have chicken and rice, and you just eat that for a while. And it's like the laziest meal in the world. Because I put a frozen chicken breast and dumped a can of salsa into the Instant Pot and hit go, and then walked away. So I've done that when I'm like, I don't want to cook. But that's worked well for me. But at the end of the day, I think it really comes down to just, figuring out how you work and working with that rather than how society says you should. Like, you don't need to have a car if you don't want to. The bus system works fine. You might need to allocate a little bit more time for it, but eventually you move somewhere that's like right on the bus line. Or maybe you want to drive, but you just drive certain places. Or like me, where you work from home and there are plenty of good restaurants and shops and everything, right across the street. It's so nice. I have a farmer's market across the street every Sunday. That is like incredible to me. I can just go and like get all the fresh farm stuff. So that's the best grocery store right there. Anyway, anything else to add about adulting? Do we have any more questions?
Not seeing questions.
Let's see. Oh, somebody says, did I do much biking in Europe? No, I didn't do any biking in Europe. Just straight up. The only other place this decade I have done biking in, other than places in the US, I did some biking in Australia. And I gotta say, that was kind of weird because they drive on the other side of the road and they also bike on the other side of the road. So naturally I wanted to steer over to the right, but it's like, no, stay to the left, stay to the left, stay to the left. I don't know how I would drive in that. Yeah. But so it's just one of those things that, don't really do that much. Trains are amazing. I love me some trains. Trains, you can just sort of stare out the window and it takes you places. That's awesome. Same with airplanes. But I don't really like the personal vehicle stuff. I'll do it, but I don't really like it. By the way, random plug, people come say hi to me and Chloe at the What I Wish My Parents Did Differently this weekend in...
Yeah, I have a link in the description to that.
Yes. Come to our workshop this weekend. So I will be in LA and it'll be fun times. With that being said, then, cool. We have any more questions? Any more thoughts? Oh, we do. Okay. Any concerns at taking the bus at night?
The night doesn't bother me time of day. What I don't like about the bus is the sensory stuff. And then depending on your area, there's crazy people that sometimes take the bus. I took a bus to Vegas to visit some friends one time, and there was ended up not being able to sit next to my friends, so we all sat next to different people. And my sister ended up sitting next to someone who was talking to himself, but not like, oh, what am I going to make myself for dinner? Like, he was answering himself as a different person. Like, literally having a conversation with himself.
Okay,
so
then.
I've heard scenarios like that from other people who like really take the bus, that you run into like those kind of situations. My friend has a service dog who took the bus, and someone tried to kick his service dog. So it's just like those kind of scenarios are more of what I'm concerned about, and it doesn't just happen at night. So
I agree with you. There are weird people that take the bus and stuff, and honestly, annoying people on the train too. But you know, I deal with it, or even better, I just walk. Like, if it's less than 3 miles, it's walking distance for me. I will gladly enjoy the day and walk. It does not get too cold here. So
I think there was a second part to that about like bringing pepper spray. Like, I don't bring any weapons with me. I've never felt unsafe, but it might just because I don't like ever feel unsafe in general. Like, people have told me like that was an unsafe situation you got yourself into. So like I don't feel that. So but yeah, I've never gotten into a situation where I needed that.
And then you don't need to bring pepper spray.
Right. I mean, I would say like I would rather like go with people if I were to go like a long distance on a bus or something like that. But like when it's like walking distance from my house, I've gone by myself at night, like watching the movies, and I feel completely safe at night. Other people who are walking
really depends on the area you're in
because it's dark. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it really depends the area you're in. Like, I'm in a very, very, very safe area where there really are not any homeless people, and like nothing's gonna happen here at night.
Yeah, like where I grew up, like I felt completely safe any time of day, all year round. Or like when I was living, obviously in New York, I would like if I would to go into the city at night, I would rather go with a group of people and like stay out of certain areas. And like there's just like I used to intern somewhere that, and if I was there too late, I just slept there and just like leave there at night. But yeah, where I live, I am perfectly comfortable walking at night. I know that there's some people who like don't like to, they can't see as well at night, who can't drive as well at night, and that kind of thing. And so like taking all that into account, like I know like I have an aunt who just has always not been able to see as well at night, and so she tries to leave. Make sure she's home before dark, and like so like just know your limits.
Yeah, know what works for you.
Yeah, where my sister would rather drive at night because she's like you just have to focus really on the area that's lit up by the light, and there's less people on the road, and it's like it's easier for her to focus and to drive at night. So she's like way more likely if I ask her to drive me somewhere, she's gonna be like, yeah, it's nighttime, let's go, than if I asked her during the day. So it just like depends on who you are.
Yeah, I agree with that. To me, what it comes down to is just knowing your limits and knowing what you can and can't do, while also continuously testing those because they change over your adult life, Sometimes you're like, oh, I tried driving once 10 years ago and it was not good. It's like, you might have changed in the last 10 years. Try again.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you haven't. And sometimes, the environment's such a big factor for all of this. Like, I was looking at moving to Florida for a while. Florida is ridiculous if you live in one of the many housing developments because, like, I was looking in Orlando. Orlando doesn't just have a grid, right? It's not, a whole bunch of little boxes with streets and crosswalks and everything. There are all these like housing developments that go deep in, and somebody wrote an article about how ridiculous this has gotten because they're all wavy streets, and they're all their own enclaves. So you could have a house that shares a fence with another house that is literally a few feet away from another house, but to drive from one house to the other, it's 7 miles. And there's no sidewalks, and it's ridiculous. So if you live somewhere like that, yeah, you need a car. But if you live somewhere where, it's very easy to walk, then you don't. All right. Hey, you do you.
I like it.
Yeah. Drive that golf cart.
Yeah, I think like people, especially neurotypicals, they think too much about like, oh, is this weird because no one else does it, or like less people do it. It's like, if it works for you, then that's like, it's great.
That there's a whole suburb of Atlanta where they have that so many people drive golf carts around that they have dedicated golf cart roads. So you have it's like golf cart road, sidewalk, car road, and that they're separate. And all of the high schoolers drive golf carts around everywhere. And it is now in the city ordinance that whenever they build a new road, they need to build the adjacent golf cart path. So the whole city's connected with golf cart paths.
Wow.
All right, see, the environment.
So quick question about time. Do either of you struggle to know time, manage it, etc.? That's the main thing. I'm wanting to help my daughter manage. She won't wear a watch and doesn't want to worry about carrying a cell phone, but thinking she will need to soon. For me, I realized that I wasn't able to estimate or guess how much time had passed. And I always forgot, we're supposed to meet at this time, and I forgot what time that was. So that, it wasn't the managing time, it was remembering the time and remembering to check the time that I was forgetting. So I started being text me the time so I can see it and I could look at it. And I had either have a phone or a watch on me that I can constantly check. So a lot of times when I'm looking at my phone, I'm just looking at the time because I don't know how much time has passed. And even when I have a computer or a clock on the wall, I have made it a habit to look at my phone so that I constantly do that and look at the time, because I know I'll have no idea how much time has passed, especially if I'm hyper focused on something.
Yeah. I kind of do the same thing. I love times when I don't need to look at what time it is. Mm-hmm. But, because I have appointments for work and such, I usually do need to know what time it is. Yeah, excuse me. So, so I have calendar reminders on my phone and on my computer and on everything that let me know, hey, I have an hour reminder, a 15-minute reminder, and a now reminder. So when we were starting our call here at 7, it reminded me at 6 and at 6:45. Hey, remember you have this thing in an hour, and hey, remember you have this thing in 15 minutes. Otherwise, I can do and will forget. So
any watch recommendations? I know when I was younger, there were these really soft watches because I had the sensory issue and I have a really small wrist. So the band of the actual face of the watch would hurt me. So I got there was this kid watch that was just super soft all the way around, and so I got that one. And we bought a bunch of them. So when it got old and broke, I got a new one, and I got I had a bunch of the same watches. I believe it was camouflage. It was a green camo one because that's just what it came in. And then I had some decorative watches, and if that had like Goofy on it or Elmo and stuff, and I always put them like on top of my sweater so that it didn't hit me and hurt me. But yeah, there's a ton of different watches, and I would say it depends on the person.
I don't like wearing watches. Again, sensory issues.
Yeah,
I just
but
carry.
there's also pocket watches.
There are pocket watches. They are a thing.
Yeah, and you can also get like chains and wear like a necklace. There's like so many different. Yeah, my sister always wore pocket watches.
You get the bonus of looking rather classy if you take out your pocket watch to
Yeah.
look at the time. You're like, and I have a monocle too, and it is beautiful.
My sister actually always used pocket watches because she didn't like watches, so she would hook it to her hip and pull it out. So it just there's so many different ways to do it to tell time. I don't like when they train service dogs. They actually put a watch on their collar, and it alarms when they're like supposed to do different things. So if they're supposed to like remind you to take pills, so like there's that, you could put it on like your backpack, or you could put it on your dog, or you could put it on you don't have to wear it on your wrist either. So
I have a service dog. What's its function? Oh no, it just brings the time with it.
Yeah. There's just a lot of unconventional ways you can do things that like it's great.
Yeah. So I mean, really, it's just about doing what works for you at the end of the day. Like, and yes, I have no idea what time it is. I grossly underestimate how long it takes to do things. I have to look at Google to tell me how long it's going to take to walk somewhere, unless I previously looked at Google to tell me how long it's going to take to walk somewhere. And you can ask any of my business colleagues that I am the world's worst at determining how long things will take. I will be like, I can have this done in an hour. 3 months later, it's still not done. And I can be like, I can have this done in 3 months. And then in like an hour later, I'm like, oh, that was actually a lot easier than I thought. So somehow we still make it.
I mean, having done film, I've had to time manage and estimate time a lot. And so if it's something I do a lot, like film, like I know, like looking at a script, it normally takes about an hour of filming per minute that goes in the final product. So it's like, I guess I have to estimate like this page is going to how much dialogue it is versus action, and go like, okay, how long is that going to take to film? And then I calculate all that, and then I times it by 3, and then go, because if anything goes wrong, then this is not accurate, and something's going to go wrong. And everyone likes to be let off early than let off late. And that's how I calculate different things. I always add extra time because it's just, you need extra time.
That, but I work in the world of software development. So I go, I think it's going to take a month. Therefore, it's going to take 3 months. And then it ends up taking 9. And I'm like, okay, I need to revisit my estimates here. But like, I think it's going to take a month. It's going to take 3 months, and then tomorrow it's done. I'm like, oh, that was actually all right. So, like actually physically open the door and like step outside into the open world. For me, I like being outside, especially because I live in somewhere that's quite sunny year round and nice and pleasant. I don't have any like fear of going outside or anything, nor do I really have a desire to stay inside. But I was talking earlier about how I found that if I meal prep too much and have too much food in the house, I just don't leave, not because I don't want to, but because there are too many things to do in the house. And then 3 days goes by and I'm like, oh, I should probably go outside. So it's less of a motivation issue and more of like a remembering to do it thing.
Yeah. I go outside. I've been going out a lot, and I think like I could tell like with my mental health how I'm doing based on like, do I want to go outside and how much I'm going outside as well. So I know, like, when my mental health is down, I force myself to go out and, like, just walk around the block, like, once a day, because it just makes me feel better to do that, to get out of the house, even though my whole body and brain is going, no, don't leave the house.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, I don't wanna. It's like, get out the door. And it doesn't help that, like, when I exit my door, I'm kind of like still in a little area that has a lot of concrete, so it's like 5 degrees cooler than the rest of the outside. So like, it's cold, I don't wanna. And then you get okay, it's actually not that cold as soon as you get in the sun. But,
so yeah. For me, it's like, it was hard to create a routine living on my own, because I don't have like a work schedule that's like, you have to be at the office at this time and you need to be here at this time, and so I had to create a schedule for myself so that I get out of the house, so that I like do things and I'm productive. So one of the things I do is, like, Monday nights I try to go to the movies when there's a movie I like, and like I like set times in different days of the week that I try to schedule certain things and do things, and I like my schedule, and so that seems to really work well for me. You could go.
All right. For me, I try to keep a schedule. I'd love to keep a schedule. As much as I try, I end up traveling like every other week for some reason, even if it's just like Santa Barbara to LA. Like far enough where you need a hotel room, but not far enough where it's like the other side of the world. And it's very annoying to try and keep a schedule when like every other week I'm gone. So it's like I'm gone this week, and then I'm actually not gone. Wow, this is a rare one for me. I'm almost not gone for an entire month. And then I'm just going back down to LA again. And then I'm going to, then I have like 2 weeks, and I'm going to London, and then I have another 3 weeks, and then I'm going to New York. And so because of that, where it's like I at maximum have like 2 to 3 weeks home at a time, it's very weird for me to get into a weekly routine. So I generally have a daily routine at home instead of a weekly routine, because my weekly routine gets disrupted so frequently that I cannot keep it at all. So my routine is just a daily routine of what time I wake up and when I go to get lunch and what I do and when I grocery shop and et cetera, et cetera. And then sometimes I enact I only want to work a half day or, something like that because I'm on, it is my weekend. But even that gets screwed up because I travel so much for work that like I'm traveling for work this weekend. So when's my weekend? It was kind of today. It's kind of tomorrow, but I also kind of need to work. So
we do our socials, we do workshops and all that. So a lot of times my weekend is like Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. Rather than the actual weekend. But now we have like we have game night on Tuesdays, I have Starlight on Wednesdays, and then hi Benji, I live tweet for Lillian's show on Thursday. So like I don't have a day off anymore, and I'm like, I kind of need one. And so
you end up having like half days, like a few hours off. Like, oh well, okay, I get the morning off. I don't have anything to do. Like today, I didn't have anything concrete to do till 5 p.m. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to take the afternoon off. But
yeah, I'm like the opposite of most people. I work evenings. I seem to like have to like be somewhere in the evening, and then, like during the day, I'm like, can anyone hang out? And everyone's like, no, we're working.
So 2 comments. Meredith says, when did you first develop a daily routine? What age were you? Like 24? Someone is asking. As depressed anymore.
I don't know what happened. I could hear you and see you.
To me, it's not really motivation. There you go. You're back. Somebody was saying hi, Groot. So hi, Groot. So I don't think it's motivation. I was when you're out of defense mode.
That's a topic we cover in the workshop. Is motivation, I believe. But I like to replace motivation with the word capacity.
Yeah, me too.
Because
it's not like were you motivated? It's like, did you have the capacity to do this as a teenager? Yeah. No. Were you motivated? Yeah.
Yes.
Did motivated matter? Not really.
Yeah, like when I don't have the capacity, I'm so motivated. Like I kick myself when I'm not productive. When I'm sick, I'm like, oh my God, I hate that I'm not making films and that I'm not doing blah, blah. But I can't because I'm sick.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that kind of situation.
I guess the easiest metaphor I could say is it's like getting your wisdom teeth out and being motivated to eat like a sandwich.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm very motivated to eat solid food. I would love to. It's not within my realm of capacity right now. Yeah. But
and then like
I'm right there with you.
School eats up all your capacity as a teenager. Like I couldn't do anything besides school. Like I couldn't like I was selectively mute. Like I literally couldn't talk to people.
Yep.
Like that's how much school took my capacity away. So yeah, I had a motivation. Like I wanted to be friends with people and I wanted to hang out with people and I wanted to have fun and get out of the house and do things, but I absolutely did not have the capacity.
Yep. All right. Well,
thank you guys for all these questions. We're getting down to the end of the hour.
Yeah, all right. We've caught up with questions. We're getting down to the end of the hour. I think this is a good time to just call it.
Yeah.
So
come to the workshop.
Yes.
Yeah, and bring all your questions to that.
Yeah. I will be there. Chloe will be there. Benji will be there. So
and we always give scholarships. All you have to do is ask. So yeah.
Come say hi, Redondo Beach, this Sunday. I kept saying Saturday and got yelled at. It's this Sunday.
And come back next week to my Starlight Talks. Please, I'm so excited. Next week, I have a writer from The Good Doctor that's going to be on. His name is Brian Shin, and he wrote some really amazing episodes. So come back next week. I do these talks every Wednesday at 7 Pacific Standard Time. So the same time you're watching right now.
Cool.
What else do we have going? We have the viewing of Everything's Gonna Be Okay with some of the cast on Saturday, which is not on the website, but if you email, you can get all the information about that. And then we have game night, I believe, Tuesday. So yeah, come to all those things.
Awesome. All right, and there goes Benji.
That's my service dog. He's sick. So thank you guys for watching. Stay colorful. Bye.